Welcome to the Technical Principles of Coaching module. This is topic 8, and today this lecture is going to look at the pedagogical theory and coaching styles. So, the learning outcomes by the end of this lecture are as follows. Number 1, to be able to discuss a variety of pedagogic techniques used to deliver coaching sessions, demonstrating an understanding of the coaching process in regards to coaching, teaching and learning styles. And number 2, address the principles of learning across age groups, examining how an understanding of these approaches can be incorporated into the coaching process and the styles adopted by a coach. So, as always, I like to begin with a quote related to the lecture theme. This quote is by Sir Alex Ferguson. You can't ever lose control, not when you are dealing with 30 top professionals who are all millionaires. And if any players want to take me on to challenge my authority and control, I deal with them. So an interesting coaching and leadership style there, which we will cover in depth and in detail as an autocratic coach. Some may view that, and we'll cover this in depth in the lecture. So, what is a coaching style? A coaching style is the way in which the coach delivers their coaching session. And a coaching style can vary from coach to coach and also from situation to situation as the coach adapts their behaviour to meet the specific needs of the performers. So, for example, if you were to deliver a session to a group of 6 or 7-year-olds, would that session be delivered in the same style as if it was being delivered to elite adult performers? Potentially not. Also, one group may differ from another, and the style that a coach may have to adopt may also differ to ultimately address the needs of any group of performers or athletes or players. So, on to coaching styles. There are a number of definitions within the research to describe different coaching styles, and Kurt Lewin's early research really set the framework of leadership styles. Lewin covered the first 3, which some of you may be aware of, even if you haven't researched and read around coaching styles. These include autocratic coaches, so coach takes decisions without consultation. Includes democratic, so a coach involves others in the decision making. Laissez-faire, which reduces leaders' involvement, and this allowing people or coaches and athletes the opportunity to make their own decisions. And then finally, bureaucratic coaching style. So this is where the coach takes the emotion out of sport and becomes businesslike and logical, often managing by the book. The fourth one wasn't covered in Kurt Lewin's early research. However, this was added by a number of researchers at a later date. So, in comparison to coaching styles, I've put together a table, and within this table it lists the 4 common coaching styles, being autocratic, democratic, bureaucratic and laissez-faire. Lists the coach's behaviour in comparison, the athlete behaviour, the effectiveness of a coaching style, and also when to potentially avoid using a specific coaching style. So if we go through autocratic, the coach behaviour likes to retain as much power and decision-making authority as possible. This provides the athletes with little to no input. This is effective when athletes don't know which tasks to perform or which procedures to follow. Also, it's effective when there's limited time to make decisions and a leader really has to step up and make the call, the leader being the coach. It should avoid being used when there's a group of experienced athletes or individuals or teams who are used to being consulted on decisions. In comparison, a democratic coach will keep athletes informed about everything that affects the work and the schedule and decisions, and also share this decision making and problem solving responsibility. Therefore, athletes are involved in the decision-making process, and this can be really effective when used with highly skilled or experienced athletes, or when implementing operational changes or resolving individual or group problems through obviously discussion and decision making. This should be avoided when there's not enough time to get everybody's input, and also when athlete safety is of critical concern. So an example would be when dealing with young players and being able to set boundaries on a field or a pitch to ensure that they're safe and well. A bureaucratic coach's behaviour will be around decisions being made on a logical rationale as opposed to emotive decisions or gut instinct, and are in line with rules and legislation. This also means that athletes must adhere by the rules and legislation set at all times, and athletes can often be selected based on data and quantitative analysis on what they can do for the team and what they've proven to be able to do for the team. Athletes require detailed instructions and role clarifications to effectively perform, means that this bureaucratic coach can be really effective. However, a bureaucratic coaching style should really be avoided when athletes are keen to express themselves and find creative solutions to game-specific problems. Final coaching style up for comparison is laissez-faire. Again, coach provides little or no direction and gives athletes as much freedom as possible, and it can be even argued that this is not coaching whatsoever. All authority or power, therefore, is given to the athletes, and they determine the goals, they make decisions, and resolve problems on their own. This can be effective when athletes are highly skilled, experienced, and educated, and athletes have pride in their work and the drive to do it successfully on their own. Again, the role of the coach in this: oversee, facilitate, if that. This really should avoid being used when athletes feel insecure at the unavailability of a coach, or if the coach cannot provide regular feedback to athletes on how well they are doing. So, brief comparisons on the 4 most commonly discussed and utilised coaching styles. Again, there is a lot of research being conducted around coaching styles. Martins described autocratic and democratic styles as command style and cooperative styles, so different terminology. Woods also proposed 4 different coaching styles of command, reciprocal, problem solving, and guided discovery, which you've probably been familiar with on coach education programs around coach interventions and approaches. Specifically with the problem solving and guided discovery approaches being very popular now in courses delivered by the English FA and the US Soccer Federation's grassroots programs. Lyle defined autocratic coaching as performance oriented, authoritarian, directing, and dictatorial, and classed this as performance coaching. He also defined democratic coaching as person centered or athlete centered, humanistic, sharing, democratic, caring, and interactive, in which a term he coined as a humanistic approach to coaching. So, focusing on John Lyle's research and proposals, the humanistic approach or the humanistic model of athletic coaching is really an educational model devoted to the total development of the individual, or the whole person, if you like. And Lyle stated that this approach is a person-centered ideology that emphasises the empowerment of the individual towards achieving personal goals within a facilitative interpersonal relationship. Therefore, it's athlete-centered and focuses on enhancing athletes' self-awareness, growth and development, and the coach encourages and supports the athletes on their journey and helps them to develop into authentic and valued adults. Lyle also argued that sport has enormous potential for personal growth and development through that humanistic model, but this was in contrast to performance coaching, which involves extensive participation, intensive commitment, and the focus really in high-level professional sports is on competition goals, the win, Therefore, the humanistic approach sometimes does not have this essential purpose, as winning can often provide the measure for player and coach development at a professional level. So, development is coined by winning, if you like, and this is the performance approach. As such, Lyle then proposes that the humanistic approach to coaching provides a viable theoretic proposition for coaching, but it is yet to be determined if the parameters of this model are practically viable in professional sports. If we take the sport of football or soccer, for example, um, you look at the top leagues in the world, a coach who doesn't win within 6 games can often be in serious trouble of losing their position or their job. So, do they have time to implement a humanistic model? Compare that to academy coaches, grassroots coaches, and really is winning the be all and end all? To some, maybe again comes down to philosophy, but is that the correct coaching style? So, looking at all those coaching styles, it's really important to note that there isn't a single category that describes the makeup of one single coach. And really, it depends, as we stated in one of the opening slides, on the situation to situation and athlete needs. However, coaches usually represent a large portion of one category, and then along with a few characteristics from the other categories. So there is, if you like, a default coaching style that coaches like to lean on and adhere to. This can be shaped by philosophy, environment, behaviour. But again, it's important that situation to situation coaches can adapt. Moving on to leadership styles then. So there are a number of leadership styles that can be defined through a coach's personality, approach, and what's best for their team. These tend to fall under the category of autocratic, democratic, bureaucratic, and laissez-faire as well. And there's lots of research again around this, but some of the leadership styles that I've highlighted here is a charismatic leader. So again, a leader who likes to work towards the greater good, uses persuasion, and guides teams through problems or periods of crisis, tends to get followers and influence people fairly easily. Charismatic leaders, when if they are not well versed and experienced and knowledgeable, can quickly lose followers as well. So charismatic leaders need to be careful. Servant leaders, they lead by example with integrity and generosity. So they really are there to serve the team and the best needs of the team and make sure that each member has what they need to excel at their job. A transactional leader knows exactly what's expected of them and are clear about each team member's roles and responsibilities. Clear systems in place and values team members and squad members based solely on their abilities and contributions. And finally, the leadership style I've highlighted here is a transformational leader. These transformational leaders really motivate by creating a shared vision or aspirational goal, so setting the boundary of what the team can achieve, and expects the best of the team whilst also holding themselves to a high standard of accountability. And this transformational leader is really about shaping the whole philosophy and ethos of a team. Again, there are many other leadership styles which have been discussed, and lots of research around this which feed into coaching styles. I came across this flowchart, if you like, around leading and leadership, and really thought it could also apply to the coaching process. And this flowchart really asks a number of yes/no questions. Again, it's not an exact science, but tries to determine what kind of leader you want to be, or in our instance, what kind of coach do we want to be. Interestingly enough, when I did this, I asked myself the first question of what environment am I coaching in? If I was to coach in a youth environment, which I have done for a number of years, and then I compared that to coaching in a first team professional environment, which I also have done, the initial question or the initial answer to the first question was different, which led me on a totally different path. So again, looking at the research, situation to situation, it all depends on, in my opinion, as well, the environment. But if we talk about who do we want to be, full stop, and what kind of leadership style we want to exhibit, then obviously there's one path to go down. But again, not an exact science, but something to really highlight a number of leading and leadership and coaching styles. So have a look through that and see where you end up. So to conclude, a coaching style then is the way in which the coach delivers their coaching session. As we've seen, there are many definitions within research to describe different coaching styles and different terminology used to describe the same sort of coaching style. And again, no one single category completely describes the makeup of a coach. Normally, coaches represent a large portion of characteristics in one category, along with a few characteristics from other categories, which allows coaches to draw upon different skill sets and approaches dependent on the situation. But people or coaches generally do have a preferred method or a default method as well. And there are also a number of leadership styles that can be defined through a coach's personality, approach, and what is best for their team, along with what type of coach or leader do they really want to be. How do they want to be seen by their peers? How do they want to be seen by their athletes? Again, if your athletes or players was to do the flow chart on you as a coach, would they come up with the same definition or the same style? Reading list, as always. And there's a few links on the Canvas portal to take you directly through to these reading items. And to conclude with activities, so these are also on the Canvas portal. Activity 1 is around adapting coaching styles to suit needs of your players. So discuss how your style of coaching may change working with different age groups, and then write the main points on the discussion board. And I mentioned in the initial outset about coaching U6, U7 players as compared to coaching elite athletes and adults, and would the coaching style be the same? And then activity 2 is around your preferred coaching style or styles. Again, write about what coaching style or styles currently work for you. Important to note what environment you're working in and why you prefer this coaching style, and if your athletes prefer this coaching style. So lots to get into within this area. So again, just like to thank you for your time, taking the time out to view and listen to the lecture. Lots of research to find and unearth around leadership and coaching styles. And again, we probably all have assumptions on how certain managers and coaches operate and what their default is. But again, just echoing the research, these top coaches and managers in the game probably adapt and draw upon a number of different styles depending on the individual, whilst also having a preferred style, which is their MO. So once again, thanks for listening, and I will see you on the next lecture. Thank you.